Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Explorations in Savitri, with our beloved brother, Mahalo. We continue now, Book 3, the Book of the Divine Mother, Canto 4, the Vision and the Boon. And I believe we got to this great
beautiful passage.
Yes. Where would you like to begin, Mahalo?
We'll begin where the omnipotence flaming.
I saw the omnipotence flaming pioneers. Beginning with I saw the omnipotence flaming pioneers, page 343, about 10 lines from the bottom.
Yes, so this is the vision. Shobinda is describing the vision of the future that is going to come. And he sees two things. One is that there is a destruction. Now, why this destruction is necessary? At an individual level, at a collective level, if we don't destroy the past, all that holds us back, we cannot move into the future. So that's why this destruction and creation is an ongoing process. But when there is a leap, then they both become absolutely intensified. So Mother speaks of it that at this point of time, we have on one side forces of destruction acting tremendously. They are also doing a work, clearing the past. And at the same time, constructive forces which want to bring in new things. And we have to align with one or the other. And she says it's much better to align with the constructive forces. So, though both are serving the divine plan, you see, that's where the element of choice comes. Because, when we say that all is one, it can be very misleading when received with an unchastened mind. So, in the Mahabharata, the divine is also acting in Duryodhana and in Arjuna. But it is much better to align to the divine in Arjuna than to the divine in Duryodhana.
You remember the quote, before dying, falsehood rises?
Yes. That is to Huta she wrote, 72, yes. I think 15th August, that before dying, falsehood rises to its full swing. So it is the process. And another place he says that both good and bad have become extreme in today's world.
Yes.
Which is what we actually see. That on one side, evil has become so evil that you can't imagine. At the same time, there are exceptional goodness which you discover time to time, even in children, that you can't imagine. Some of these children, now when I look back, I've been very fond of these mythologies which I have been watching and been very happy to read those stories. But now when I watch at another level, and I see Indra is getting so arrogant and proud just because, a mala is being given to him. I say, what kind of God? Because human consciousness is advanced. And Mother says that the gods of the Purana, some of them are worse than human beings. They are so jealous, ambitious. Actually, and today's, again, another comparison which I give, like, if you go back to the old world, if you want to know about bhakti, the best book people recommend is Narada's Bhakti Sutra or Shandilya's Bhakti Sutra. They are also very good. Narada's Bhakti Sutras are really wonderful. But now for the new age, when you read prayers and meditations, everything appears so dull, insipid. You wonder, where was this bhakti hiding? Nowhere in any literature. And I can tell you with some, I won't use the word authority, but having read a vast array of all kinds of literature, nowhere you find such bhakti as you find in prayers and meditation. So it is a new age and accordingly a new consciousness which far surpasses. And I see some of the children and those who come, new crop of sadhaks, and we have children, the very fact they sit and listen to Savitri under any compulsion, it's like, amazing. So the world is changing. Times are changing. And so how does the divine change the world? We think of policies, systems, governments, machinery, laws, rules, regulations. That's our way of changing. We think if we could, instead of this rule, we could have that rule. Things would be better.
And sometimes compromise.
Compromise. Instead of this joker, if we seated another lesser of a joker, life would be better. But the divine doesn't do that. His way is he changes the DNA. Literally so. And literally so because Mother speaks of it in her conversations in 1958 that the new substance has been accepted by material nature, which means the children who are going to come, they will have integrated within their DNA, literally, this new substance. So their way of thinking, responding are going to be very different. See difference, not because they have been given this new education or nothing, just they'll be born different. So this is what is being described here. Shobindra has already foreseen it, and it's a wonderful passage that what kind of these new children will be. I saw the Omnipotent's flaming pioneers over the heavenly verge which turns towards life, come crowding down the amber stairs of birth. You know, it's interesting. The passage is very clear that I have seen these souls which have waited for hundreds of years for this moment, Mother has said, to enter into creation at just this moment. They have waited. Now Shobindra uses the word amber.
Amber. Yes, this is very important.
Now, tell me why. What could it mean? One is it's a yellowish gemstone, and that's the typical meaning. It's raisins which have this color, and one can try to understand yellow amber stare. But there is a very different kind of meaning you can derive out of it. Very modern, and Shobindra used many modern images in Savitri, so it may not be way off the mark. Now, what is amber? You have the green light and the red light. The light in between, the yellowish light, is actually called an amber light. So, what is amber? You are waiting. It goes with the passage. They are waiting. Amber say where they have been given the go ahead signal, but they are waiting when there will be the green and I'll come. This is purely a very personal sense, but I love it. Whether traffic lights existed at that time or not, I don't know. But Shobindra is talking about future.
But Nolini speaks about amber.
Okay, what does he say?
Speaks about the amber light. I'll find the passage.
Yeah. So I found it very, beautiful that these are souls waiting for the amber stairs of birth. Like there are several stairs, and one of them is when they are in the waiting, and now they will enter into this world. Forerunners of a divine multitude. They themselves will not be the supramental beings, but they are the forerunners.
Yes.
So they will find the way, the passage. So lot of human beings today, lot means compared to maybe 50 years back. So today we have at least a group of humanity who are exactly in the same position like the nomads of early primitive humanity. Imagine the first few human beings during the ape world. And they just don't know who they are, what they are, why they are. Apes are curious about them. Other human beings are curious about each other. They don't even know how to survive in this jungle. And they must have gone through a lot of pain, struggle. It's not easy, to survive amidst an animal world where you understand nothing about anything and you lack the vitality of the animal. You don't have the strength of the animal, and yet you are destined to be the crown of creation after a million years. They are carrying the burden of humanity, literally.
But they get the fire.
They get the fire. So here also we have flaming pioneers.
Yes.
So they are born with a fire which is going to change things.
Yes.
So there is a group of humanity which begins to feel itself strange, which cannot identify itself with the social norms and laws of the time.
Yes.
And Mother describes it very beautifully. The Superman will find his social and ethical standard not in any external rule of conduct, but within, in his own intuitive sense. This is what is happening today. So these are forerunners of a divine multitude. Now multitude again gives a sense of a growing, something which is growing. It is not a fixed number. It is something which is growing, multitude. Out of the paths of the morning star they came. So here we have again, see, morning stars. What are these morning stars? So it is, just when the night is setting and yet it is not completely gone, that's when you have these morning stars. So out of the paths of the morning star they came into the little room of mortal life. Their consciousness is so vast that they feel this body and limited milieu in which they are born as something very constricting, stifling. That's why today children want more space. Simply because they feel stifled within. If you have too many do's and don'ts and restrict them, they don't feel happy. Because they embody a higher and larger consciousness. So Shubhinder is describing so beautifully into the little room of mortal life.
Yes.
You tell them that you must take a job, you must earn a livelihood, get married, have children. They find it, for this we have come. It's so silly. I saw them cross the twilight of an age. So we are going through that twilight when one age is changing into another. So Kali Yuga is receding and the new Satyuga is coming. And during that phase they are coming. These sun-eyed children of a marvellous dawn, the great creators with wide brows of calm, sun-eyed children, they carry a light within. It's something very interesting. As if they already have received the touch of intuition. If you see the hierarchy of planes, it is from the illumined mind onward that there is light within the eyes. Higher mind, birthplace of religions, there is a daylight. But you don't embody the light. But they carry the light. They are guided by it. And so sometimes they use the word. I felt, inside I felt like this and I thought, let me go with the flow. Whatever, way it may be understood and, there may be also vital flows and all these things. But they carry some kind of a light of intuition, however dim it may be. Just like the early humans had a mental spark, but very dim. But that was what they had to develop. Today we carry a spark of intuition which we don't quite understand. That my heart is indicating in this direction. Should I not? Then there is everything else around which says no, and it's unfortunate. Many times we succumb.
Would you say the psychic is open?
Yes. Also it has reached a certain stage of development because psychic has been now on earth for human psychic for million years. So surely many psychic beings have reached a stage of development. So these are the sun-eyed children of a marvellous dawn. Never before such a dawn has come. The great creators with wide brows of calm. They are not creating in an agitated, excited way. But something, and we see today, even whether it's technology or music, these creations are very different from those hasty creations which, one can indulge into from the vital. The massive barrier breakers of the world. Tell a child, today's child, don't do it. Sure, he will do it. Even it's in film, it has come as a dialogue, no? What I don't say, I definitely do. I mean, even in those most frivolous of things, we see this sense has come. You give me a challenge, I want to take it. The previous generation, or maybe previous to previous, if you say don't do, okay. Why you are not doing? Mama has said this. Today, Mama, why do you say this? Because they are new children. Can't help it. They are born like Hanuman. You tell Hanuman, don't, you are not supposed to go beyond the boundary of the stratosphere. He says, no, I want to go to moon. Sun, not moon. And eat it. It's a sign of the kind of children. You give a challenge and they want to, they love challenges.
And they understand immediately right from wrong.
Oh, that sense is there. Though it's not our right and wrong, it's a different. They are still struggling, but they are moving in that direction, which is no more a set standard pattern of right and wrong. At least that they have broken free from. Now, once you break free from that, you will discover your inner law. It will take some time, maybe 100, 200 years. People will make mistakes, but that's the only path. There is no other way. Earlier, right and wrong was decided by community, society. Now it's gone. So, you fumble and stumble, and at the end, and while the elders grumble, let me add, at the end you will discover through the jumble some path.
I like to give the example of the child who, the phone rings and the child picks up the phone. And he says, Dad, it's for you. And the father says, tell him I'm not here. The child knows immediately.
But you are here. See how some of the stories, how these old patterns broke in the ashram context. They look like funny stories, interesting stories, but there is a reason behind it. You know how Amal Kiran had come. Not how he saw Sri Aurobindo's write up in a when he purchased shoe, but that is he came to know. But when he had to come, his parents put because he has to take money from parents. So parents, grandparents, they all said you can go, but only if you are married. She's too young, he doesn't want to get married. He discovers another girl who is in a similar situation. They got married just to come to Pondicherry. And how did they come? Then too. Because if you say we got married, now we are going to Pondicherry. What Pondicherry? So they go to Kolkata. All well planned. From Kolkata they come all the way to Chennai after some time. And then they drop a telegram that we have come all the way to Chennai. We are thinking of visiting Pondicherry, so we are going ahead with it. All right, fine, few more days. Now, it becomes all. Imagine, can we imagine in those days somebody getting married just to travel all the way to Pondicherry? Is it right or is it wrong? See, look at the new yardsticks which are being set in those days. Now, anybody knows the name of this lady whom he got married? Most people are not aware. Daulat Pandey. Have you heard? She has written some nice stories for children. Now, this is a totally different kind of humanity which is going beyond anything we can imagine and wrestlers with destiny in her lists of will. So, in the old generation, there was too much of acceptance. Acceptance is a good thing. But fate, karma, God's will, under that garb, anything and everything, chalta hai. From potholes on the road to all the social injustices, the attitude was chalta hai. Now, it's not chalta hai. They wrestle with destiny. Look, people talk about Indian thought as being fatalistic. But whenever they discuss it, the answer is Savitri. Savitri knows it is destiny and yet she wants to change it. That is what is the kind of consciousness that we must have. Not inevitable destiny, what can I do, my circumstances. Then mother said, then don't complain, then remain a slave of circumstances and suffer. Then don't complain that there is suffering. I have chosen a kind of circumstances. But real humanity is when you break free. Even if you are not allowed to break free, you struggle. One day you will break free. Keep your consciousness free even when your body is enslaved. Because you want to break free. And these are the children. The laborers in the quarries of the gods. Now why he didn't say garden of the gods and see everything. Quarries are what? You are digging deep to take out some stones to build something which will happen much later. So they are laborers in the quarries of the gods. The messengers of the incommunicable. You see, sometimes I get so amazed hearing some of these casual statements and they are very intuitively said. I was one day expressing my inner anguish, sharing it with someone. I said, some ashram inmate, not much educated or something. I said, why this? There is a great anguish. The divine should be all the time, every time present. There should be no separation at all. All the time with every sense you must be able to. It was an aspiration which I was sharing. So the other person is just smiling. So I said, why? Am I not saying anything correct? So the person says, but where is the separation? Now, I said, this is... this is the profound truth. I quite agree. And instantly. Now you see, both are right. There is the aspiration and the anguish. There is the other very profound truth. And this goes beyond Vedanta. If you look at it, these utterances which drop casually from the lips of so-called common humanity, they go beyond, what you find in scriptures, but where is the separation? Another ashram school student, now she is of course an ashram inmate, I have mentioned this earlier also. And she says she came to discuss this topic because she has to It's on love. So I said, okay, what is your idea about love? She says, the problem is that there is nothing else but love. That is how I look at it. I said, you don't need to speak. You just go and speak this much. This is more than what anybody can absorb. There is nothing else but love.
Santosh, when she was in the last stages of cancer, he said, nothing wrong with me. Mother's with me every moment.
So these are
To the moment she passed away, she was saying Mother's name.
Yes. I've seen quite a few like that. It's amazing.
I'm sure you have.
Chinmayi, Maheshwariji's
Chinmay,
daughter.
yes, Chinmay also.
Cancer has spread all through the body for the 3 days at least. All through. Om Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Satyamayi, Parme. She used to get tired and she would not be able to utter fully. She would become this thing. Then somebody had to just prompt her a little. Again she would start. This is not ordinary. People sometimes, are deceived by appearances. Looking here, nobody is wearing Girva Vastra or telling you, Bacha, sit down. I am going to discuss with you Vedanta. But this is not ordinary humanity which can be like this in the face of death. And I have seen amazing ones. So this is a new humanity. The messengers of the incommunicable, the architects of immortality. How do you build immortality? You build with this state of consciousness where there is no death. In the face of death, it's easy to say that, when you're not faced with the challenge, as you're saying, in the face of death, when medical opinion and everything, and your body is going to pieces, and yet you say, whether I live or die, I am. So that's the freedom from death. Architects of immortality. Into the fallen human sphere they came. So humanity is a fall. This Mother and Sri Aurobindo both have said, before humanity came, before the mind came, in animal life there is a spontaneity. There is no conflict. There is a natural ease. And then she says, even early humanity was very fine. First layer of mind. She says it was very beautiful. But the moment mind came to grow, it created a mess of life. And then she says it was a passage we had to go through. All that is another story. But she says that is what is referred to in the Bible as the fall. What is the fall? I want to know.
No.
Knowledge. But she says it's a passage. The end result, when you have gone through it and then you have the faith, is far superior than the simple animal life which responds beautifully with a simple faith. This result is going to be far superior. So it had to go through. So into the fallen human sphere. They look like human beings. Can't help it because the body is not yet transmuted. But the consciousness is very different. Well, the first human beings who had not yet become Homo sapiens erectus, which is the last one, they look very much like it. They were also bent. If you really see them, faces that wore the immortal's glory still, voices that communed still with the thoughts of God. It's amazing lines. That what the divine has planned and implanted within us. They were still carrying those dreams in their eyes and carrying those thoughts. They were not yet corrupted files. Bodies made beautiful by the Spirit's light. These are so obvious and so beautiful lines. Carrying the magic word, the mystic fire, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy, approaching eyes of a diviner man, lips chanting an unknown anthem of the soul. This is the inner state, carrying the magic word, the word that has the key, that vibration. They carry within them that vibration which has the key, which is like a key to open the doors. Just born with it. Can't help it. Divine has sent them in this world with that vibratory mode which is not otherwise accessible. So they have the magic word, Khulja Simsim, with which the doors get opened. They slip into those states of consciousness as children and we don't even know. We tell them that, no. We miss many parents. Discourage it. These children carry this key which opens the doors. And the other thing which he says, a beautiful one, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy. The mystic fire, of course, is the psychic being. The Dionysian cup of joy. So we know Dionysius is a Greek god. Also in Rome, he is called as Bacchus. So he is our god of Soma. So if you see, typically he is described as the god of wine, fertility, and joy. So, but they believed in, they carried the joy of life, which is one thing which I find in these children more and more. They're just carrying a joy of life, so carefree. Parents keep burdening them. What are you going to do? Are you not bothered about their career? They're just really not bothered about the career. They seem to. So they are so happy. Just to be happy is so difficult in this world. Otherwise, children carrying a burden right from birth. Somehow they are born so much more free. The whole world is there now to explore. And this kind of carefree state where they are naturally happy. Of course, Dionysius was a tantric yogi in my view who encouraged his disciples to drink and enjoy and eat like a glutton. He said, all this is nothing to do with your inner state. And he has been much misunderstood. It was also later on misused because, it's very difficult to practice. It was one kind of tantra that probed for Ananda in creation. So these are children of Ananda. If you want to put it in this way, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy, Anandasya putrasya. So sometimes they may have weird expressions like they're not serious. So you want them to be serious about life. They're not serious. It can take any number of expressions, but they are carrying something within them like the touch of that original wine, Dionysian cup of joy. They have the cup. Now it can get any time touched and triggered.
We speak often of the mantra.
Yes.
Or mantric lines in Savitri. I think every one of these lines, if we meditate on them,
Yes, they are very powerful.
Some of the highest mantric lines in all of Savitri.
See, these lines we are reading, carrying the magic word, the mystic fire, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy, approaching eyes of a diviner man, lips chanting an unknown anthem of the soul, feet echoing in the corridors of time. So these are the children of the new age, lips chanting an unknown anthem of the soul. It's no more, punarapi janamam, punarapi maranam, something else. They are singing the song of divine victory. They're not escapist. The unknown anthem. The soul has never sung like this. So this is what they are born with. High priests of wisdom, sweetness, might and bliss. So it's an integral truth. So wisdom which is one with might and sweetness and bliss. Truth which is one with bliss. That is how the Vedic seers saw it. People who say truth is harsh, bare reality, surely don't know truth. Truth is the sweetest of the sweetest. It is nectar itself. It is Ananda. You know that you are approaching truth by the increase of Ananda in your being. And if you are getting serious, then something is wrong. Mother says we should avoid the company of people who are too serious. And then she says they are very boring people. Because they are too much into virtuosity. They have an idea of divine as being humanly virtuous fellow with a beard sitting out there. But divine is Ananda.
Well, Mother says also that the first sign of the Superman will be power and strength.
Because he has to protect himself.
Exactly.
So might is also there.
Yes.
This might is not see how the might changes. In animal world, might is brute, physical, vital. With coming of man, might is in the brain power. And with the coming of the Superman, the might is elsewhere located. It's right in the center of the heart. Yes. Very mighty. And people discover it that this is so powerful, it can change destiny. So, discoverers of beauty's sunlit ways. What a wonderful line it is. There is a whole prayer of the mother on this. I mean, not on this sentence as such, but which beautifully reveals the sense of this line. And it is a prayer Mother dedicates to the Lord of Beauty. And she wants to live the law of beauty. What are the beauty's sunlit ways? It is everything in our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. Everything is refined and beautiful. That is the sunlit way of beauty, not something which is just confined to externalities. And swimmers of love's laughing fairy floods, fiery floods.
Fiery floods, yes.
It reminds of that famous Sufi line. ये इश्क नहीं आसान, बस इतना समझ लीजिए, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. This love is not easy. Know this one thing. It is a stream of fire and you have to drown in it and go. You can't fly over it. Drown means your ego must be burnt completely and only that pure grain of love remain. So they laugh at it. And rarely we find some mystics here and there, Bulle Shah and Kabir, who speak about this kind of love. And these children, they more and more, they are, coming up carrying this kind of love, as I just mentioned. And dancers within rapture's golden doors, their tread one day shall change the suffering earth and justify the light on nature's face. Not governments. Governments are needed. Good government is very good. Make life comfortable, have nice rules, do away with archaic things. All this is important. But the real change comes when man changes. And their tread. So where is the hope? On these children. Not in those, especially those, you see, he describes high priests of wisdom. He doesn't say priest of this religion. Religions are gone. So we don't have hopes in those dated scriptures, dated, priest and all the machineries of religions that we find today. More often than not, they dissuade from the true hope. But hope is here, where these children are waking up to a wisdom. Few more lines. Although fate lingers in the high beyond, and the work seems vain on which our heart's force was spent, all shall be done for which our pain was borne. What a powerful assurance, promise. The Gita ends with a promise. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma sucha. Here is another. Yes, there will be struggle, difficulty, maybe a life or 2 lives, 3 lives. You may not see the result of what you are sowing. But all good farmers know that some of the best crops take time to come and they were patient in the waiting. And they know the seed is there and now they have to wait for the season. So Shobinda is saying, the seed has been put. Now I am just preparing the soil and the season.
And note the word born.
Yes.
B-O-R-N-E.
Not B-O-U, yes. So we have gone through this, all this pain, suffering, with or without a reason. It is the labor pains of a new world. So that's how we have to understand it. Even as of old man came behind the beast, this high divine successor surely shall come behind man's inefficient mortal pace. Inefficient? Yes, of course. Thousands of years to learn how to, make some vehicle to carry you from place A to place B. Thousands of years. This last century, it's accelerated mode. That's another thing. But if you really look, just before that last century, if you go back to battles were being fought with modified weapons which you had to carry in the hand, and look at 100 years. Look at the mode of travel. All those rath with ghoda and the difference was an ordinary person was having 1 ghoda, horse. A king had 4 or 5 with somebody driving the chariot. This was the difference from the horse age up till recently. Even horsepower. Suddenly there is an explosion. In every field, if you see, there is a sudden explosion. And as if humanity has covered millions of years in 1 century. So he is assuring us behind man's inefficient mortal pace, because this consciousness had started working since Mother and Sri Aurobindo have been here. Not at collective level, but wherever there was a receptivity, Mother speaks of it. What are these gods whose hour has come to manifest? It's one of her early prayers. And she says, what else are these but the brilliant intellectual activity? And Sri Aurobindo notes about it, like Sir J.C. Bose and many others. All this was basically because the divine is present. The human mind was suddenly getting triggered. All around there was a hurried activity. All the gods must be saying, Ari, my God, the divine has come. We have not yet prepared. Let's inspire human beings. Suddenly they must have gone into a fast forward mode. And the result has been that last 1 century, human mind has gone into an accelerated mode of evolution. Now it's the next level, because you have to cover centuries. Behind man's inefficient mortal pace, behind his vain labor, sweat and blood and tears, he shall know what mortal mind barely does think. He shall do what the heart of the mortal could not dare. And what can be more daring than conscious evolution from the human to the superhuman? I can't imagine anything more daring, more adventurous. I mean, right through the body, that consciousness must burst through. It's really a daring, because you run the risk of death itself. You look at it, it's a daring. The body has to adapt to this new consciousness, and the pressure increases as you grow. And if you cannot increase your receptivity and strength and wideness, even illnesses can come up. And yet, you dare it, because that's what is worth doing. And the previous generation could not even comprehend anything beyond man, greater than man. Inheritor of the toil of human time, he shall take on him the burden of the gods. All heavenly light shall visit the earth's thoughts. The might of heaven shall fortify earthly hearts. So all the gods are on a high alert mode. They are working now 24/7. All the gods. Some of them are putting these thought currents in the brain. Some are tickling the heart, and there are movements which are taking place straight from here. Some are touching the life force and bringing in new kinds of experiences, as you said, in the face of death, even experimentation of that kind. On the body they are working, even the gods of the body. We don't understand it because medical science is way, way far behind. That's what I keep saying, that people think that human anatomy is fixed. It's one of those big illusions. For this age, the anatomy itself is changing. We may not be able to note it. The cells themselves are changing. There have been odd studies about that. People have found some things here and there, but not going into it. But right now, even the gods of the body, if you read the Vedas, there are gods of the bodily life, elemental gods. There are gods of the life impulse. There are gods which make the senses function. There are gods which work upon the thoughts. The Maruts, the Swift, the Indra, the Ashwins, who make the nervous system very strong and healthy. They build the chariot. What is that god? Twastri. He builds the chariot. So there are gods like that who are... Twastri, of course, interesting. He is once a human and he becomes a god. So he participates in building the chariot. It's the chariot with a human body on which Indra can ride. Normally, Indra, with his brilliant super activity of the mind, cannot use this human brain which is so small. Suddenly now the brain has been made into a vessel where Indra's lightnings can cleave through the brain, and kind of writings, kind of thoughts that pour upon all over the world in blogs. I don't visit, but I keep getting from here and there somebody, Alokda, just see the blog, and I go and I find it so amazing that how these kind of thoughts are coming to human beings. So somewhere the brain is becoming ready. So all these gods are working The might of heaven shall fortify earthly hearts. Earth's deeds shall touch the superhuman's height. Earth's seeing widen into the infinite. So earth's deeds shall touch the superhuman heights. Now, with the kind of things we have, it is difficult to say that whether all the stories we read in Puranas about Indra and the gods are taking place. Today I was reading about hologram. Now, holograms can now actually be created in such a way that you will get the tactile sensation. So you can touch it. Now, how you touch it? Simply because they have discovered that ultimately touch is because of pressure. So they have this ultrasound built-in mechanism that the moment you try to touch that hologram generated figure, you will get the pressure that the figure is also touching you. You can get the feel inside. Now, if you really look at it, it's like, Indra suddenly vanishing and manifesting upon earth. So these are technology available to the gods. Because why they could use this technology? Because the body of the gods is plastic. It's made of subtle matter. So it was easy for a god to suddenly, with the thought, disappear. And once again manifest. Because they are in the thought world. But for human matter to do it, it's not possible. Because human matter is rigid. But now imagine that ways are being found to activate this in human matter. It's a question of time. People are already thinking of that. So superhuman heights, these are not ordinary things. And earth seeing widen into the infinite.
The latest thing I've read, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but they're working now on hertz. And they're finding that 400,000 hertz has killed every form of cancer.
New things, light, treatment by light, clearing the blood vessels. Now, of course, drug companies will not allow all this research to go through easily.
Not yet.
But maybe at the end of the day, we may just discover that walking in Pondicherry sun was so good for health. We didn't really need anything else. So you see, all this seeing widen into infinite, I often use this word, pardon me, but I use the word mohalla mentality. In times when I grew up in a little village, so everybody in that little mohalla, what is called street, not even street, it's less than a street, nukkad. People would be, their limit of thought was neighbors few doors this way, few doors this way. What they are doing, so much is happening in the world, no. What they are doing, what his daughter is doing, what his bahu is doing, this was their going to temples, this was the gossip corner. Now, people talk about landing on Mars. It's something amazing. I mean, even at a material level, at every level this is happening. I'm not saying that we have to look only at the material, but look at it that human consciousness within this span of time I have seen, and I'm sure many will understand, thinking of something beyond your village or at the most your district was almost unthinkable. Mm-hmm. You could only dream of some distant place like capital of India.
In my teens, I lived in a place called Little Italy in New York City. And in that area, the old ladies would watch everything in one block.
Yes.
And that was their whole life. If some stranger came in, they would warn everyone.
Yeah. And if they were asked, where is Italy? They would say, where we are living. It was like that. It was unimaginable to, even conceive. Now we conceive of the life of the planet.
Yeah.
We talk about the earth is breathing. It's beyond, we must conserve water. An average person will say, why should we bother? I'm having enough water in my tap. But no, people are becoming conscious that we must conserve the energy. We must think about the planet. All these kind of changes is a widening of consciousness, indicative of the widening of consciousness. So all this has been foreseen. We are only playing a fixed day and night match. Right?
And Lord Sri Aurobindo has seen it.
Yes, so we close here. It's wonderful on this eve of, they use the word Mother's Mahasamadhi for tomorrow. I use the word the day of Mother's great transmutation. So tomorrow we'll meet and read that wonderful invocation of the Divine Mother, which is so appropriate for the day that we are approaching.
It will be an honor for all of us to be here on Darshan Day.
So 8:15, and there is the invocation of the Divine Mother and her great assurance and the boon.